If you're trying to achieve a high level of success, grow your business, build your brand, be present with your family, and not lose your fucking mind in the process, this is going to be the podcast for you. Because that's exactly what we're going to talk about with Shivani Peterson. She's a top mortgage lender, community leader, national speaker, a coach, a mom, and has built one of the most authentic brands that I've ever seen. But what I see is this genuine, authentic human being that I've been so fortunate to become friends with. So today we're gonna peel back the curtain and give you an opportunity to hear everything about Shivani's life and how she's been able to manage all of this chaos. And we're gonna talk about it right now. So Shivani, thank you so much for being here.
I hate to correct you so early in this thing, but I have lost my mind multiple times.
Through the chaos of all of this and being like just operating at a high level?
I'm usually due for a mental breakdown.
Is it every 6 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the reasons why I asked you to be on was because you posted one day about that you were having a breakdown. And I had never really commented, other than likes or whatever, but how do you manage all of it? Because you've been able to operate, and then who's getting a master's degree in the middle of this horrible market?
Well, so it was a 2-year program that I took 5 years to complete.
Okay.
And I started it at the beginning of 2020, which it's hard to go back that far because, the last 5 to 6 years have felt like 20 years. But at the beginning of 2020, real estate was quiet. It was like January. Mm-hmm. I had hired an assistant. I was routinely closing 10 to 15 loans a month, but things felt dialed in. And I'm like, this is a good time. I'm going to start this because also in the years just prior to that, Rocket Mortgage had launched that press button, get pre-approved.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, this thing is going to replace me.
Ah.
So I was like, I'll get my master's in marriage and family therapy because people fight about money all the time in my office. People have a relationship with money that they don't realize they're in. People are lying to their partners. Families are struggling with passing down generational wealth. I was like, I could go rebrand as the mortgage therapist and help people heal their relationship with money while they're buying a house.
So good.
And then March 2020 hits, pandemic, interest rates fall to 2%. It's insane. I couldn't have imagined that I was going to go to, from a stable 10 to 15 loans a month to 30, 40, 50 loans a month. But because I didn't have to schmooze realtors, because it was ass and seat at my desk every day, all social requirements are gone. I literally was taking 2 classes in my master's program at a time and closing that volume, and it was fine. I would get to work. I'd be ass and seat from 8:30 to 5.
You still went to the office?
Yeah. That was another thing that was really different for us in this industry, I think, from everyone else during the pandemic, because I still went to work every day.
Me too.
My world didn't shut down. Mm-hmm. We all just shut our doors. But there was no way we could worry about this thing because the business was insane.
We were classified like a necessity or
essential worker.
Essential worker, yeah. We were.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we were classified it because we're helping home ownership. So it was federally
sanctioned.
Yeah, sanctioned that we were there. Yeah.
But we weren't trapped at home, and then my family in particular had this huge blessing because we had a nanny, and I remember telling her I'm just gonna pull the kids out of school for a week until this blows over. A year and a half later, she was in that house with those kids. She quarantined with us.
Yes.
And
so did she? That's pretty cool.
My husband went to work with me. Mm-hmm. My husband used to travel 70% of the time for work, and his travel got shut down. It was the best thing ever.
It was
He's
fun.
not traveling anymore.
Yeah.
We would go to work, but when we came home, we wanted to see our kids. We hadn't seen them. We were so excited. The nanny leaves and gets a break from them. We're ready to parent. Nobody was fried. It's sad because I know it was a really hard time for America, but for the world.
It really was, but
it was amazing for me.
It was amazing for us, but then we felt it right after the rest of the world went back up. The next iteration of.
But our mental health and our perspective on the whole thing was also really different. When the world reopened and people are wearing masks and people are angry and people are coming out of all their trauma from being locked up at home for a year, we were in a completely different space where we couldn't necessarily relate because we were
we couldn't.
I went to work every day.
Yeah.
And not the way that healthcare workers went to work every day because they went to work and got abused.
Yeah.
So we were we had lived a different reality.
So 2 things. I want to just kind of shift the energy real quickly. So let's clear up this beef that you and I have real quickly because
I don't think. I think it might get worse today. You never know. It could go either way with us. Luckily, I love you, so you're
but
probably
I mean,
safe.
why was there a beef to begin with?
Oh, I don't think I did anything.
Yeah, no, you didn't. That is why it would cause the beef. That is exactly what caused the beef.
So we came here for my mom's birthday, and you were like, "Don't say you can do the podcast during that time because you can't." I was like, "No, I can. I'll do it. It's fine." And then we came, and I was like, "No, I don't want to do it.
Yeah,
I'm not coming." But I didn't say that. I just kept slow rolling it to not show up. And
I knew you weren't going to come from the get. I was like, even today, he was like, "Hey, are we?" I was like, "No, I think she's in, bro. Like, we're going to do it."
I'm not flaky.
Like
in general,
I'm not kidding. 2 seconds before you got here, we got this room ready. Like we were like literally like, because anything could happen, You
really thought I was gonna flake again?
My thing with you flaking, what you're calling it, I'm not calling it flaking, but I don't think it's you. I don't think it's like intentional, which is why you can do it as many times as you want, because I think you're busy. And this is why we're doing this podcast, because I think that people need to hear, that sometimes we overcommit ourselves.
Before you take your segue to be my friend again, you need to explain that you told everyone at Forward that I fucked you off.
I did not say that. They just asked, like, Chris has always gotten people on the podcast, right? And I was like, yeah, except for Shivani.
And then everyone gave me shit.
I think your mom was there
weekend.
too, right? You were like sitting next to your
mom.
She's like, why did you do that to him?
Why'd you blow off this nice man?
Yeah, she thinks I'm nice too, because I walked her to her room one time because I could tell she was like, maybe I was like, I got you.
When they said that, so I love my mom, but I have been the primary dealer with mom the whole time.
Yeah.
Because Arjun and Neil are older than me, and they left and they lived their lives, and I've been the dealer of mom. And so
but she's really cool though.
She's the best in the world. She's the best thing ever, but she drives me insane right now, just at this stage of my life. And Arjun and Neil were like, let's bring mom to Forward. I was like, I don't want to babysit mom at Forward. Like, I
hope she doesn't listen to this.
I don't want to do that. She's not going to.
She's like, one of my biggest fans. I don't know if you know this.
She was like, I don't want to do that. I said, I don't want to babysit mom at Forward. And they're like, it's fine. So when we got there, when she couldn't find a room at places, I was like, hey, Neil, I know you got a lot going on, but you wanted mom here, so why don't you figure out how to get her to her room?
No, one time I saw her and I was like, because the cards are so thin. You have to use your card to, and she was like going to the floor because it was like, she was like on the 20th floor, but she was pressing the second floor. And I was like, I'm pretty sure she's not on the second floor. So I was like, can I see your card? And she was like, yeah. And so I was like, let's get you to the 20. So I got her there. I didn't walk her to her, but I got her there. But no, she was super sweet. But also like,
She also got an Instagram, and that's a problem because now she follows all of us.
That's what I was going to ask you. So I think one time, didn't she get mad at you for the shit that you post?
Yes.
This is so great. So how often do you get lectured from her about your posts?
This one was really bad though, because I think I was here in Scottsdale speaking at Jen Schumacher's vision board event, but the event was on a Saturday, and I was having my tummy tuck on Tuesday, so I was like flying home the next day, and I really wanted to spend time with my kids because what if I died? And like at Krish's wedding, they're like, Mom would have loved to be here, but she was too vain. It's like, I really got to get some quality time in with these kids. And then, so Josh, I was texting Josh. I have terrible luck when I fly. And he's like, let's keep your Southwest flight, Southworst. And I'm also going to book an American flight for you. And we'll just keep both so that no matter what, you get on a flight home today. I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. So I get to the airport. I'm like documenting that I have 2 flights. Which one's it going to be?
I literally remember this.
You start seeing the Southwest flight get delayed. And then as I'm taking off on my American flight, which was scheduled for later than the Southwest one, but the Southwest one is delayed, you see the Southwest flight get canceled. And I posted, should Josh get laid tonight? Yeah. And Arjun immediately messages me and goes, Mom's going to be pissed. And then Neil messages me, uh-oh, just ... And then my mom, I get this message from her saying, please stop using Instagram as your therapist. Get a journal or talk to the mirror. People do not need to know if Josh is getting laid. What's next? His dick size?
Didn't you post it?
I sent it to Arjun and Neil, and they're like, we've never heard Mom say the word dick. We are so uncomfortable. What is happening? You gotta block her. Arjun's like, please just block her. I can't deal with her calling me every time you post something. This is so good. And getting so upset. Yeah. I posted the whole chain of events then, and I blocked her from my stories that day, and I posted all of the events. And I was like, I think about it all the time now because every time I go out, like when I take my phone out to say that I'm having a breakdown, I'm like, here I am using Instagram as my therapist again. I should probably just talk to the mirror. People were dead about that. They were like, now we see where you get your like cutting like humor. Talk to the mirror.
Talk to the mirror. It was stern. I was like, oh man. So every time I talk to her, that's what I'm thinking in the background. It's like, oh, she does not fuck around. Like, this is great.
We all are scared of her.
Ah, this is so good. Well, I'm glad we got all this out of the way. Are we friends again?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, but the question, so the podcast is really about breakthroughs, right? So before we jump into kind of the playbook on what we wanted to talk about around getting the right headspace and managing your schedule, what was a breakthrough that you had when you went from being this, having a job to building this brand and this career and what you've become today? Because I do think it's important to reflect on your successes and like take a moment, come out of it. Because I know you have places to go, right? Like in life, but you've gone so far in the last few years in one of the hardest markets ever by building a brand. And I remember, Shivani, when you and I first met, it was at Neil's event, the first Ford event. And I actually, you were in the back of the room and I walked over, you were pregnant. Like you were just about to have a baby. And I was like, I introduced myself and because I had kind of seen you on LinkedIn a little bit and I liked your content. And I was like, she's going to find that voice. And then like quickly you did. And it was like amazing to watch. So I feel like I've been on the journey with you because I've been a big fan. But when was that breakthrough moment for you when you turned this job into like a complete career and what you made it today?
I don't think it happens like a switch.
Okay. So
thing with the branding and the voice and the messaging, I didn't just one day be like, I'm going to start being myself. Mm-hmm. I learned who I was. Like my undergrad degree is in broadcast journalism. When I first started making content, I was speaking like a news reporter. I was talking to
I still do it sometimes, yeah.
Talking to the masses. Mm-hmm. And then I, over time, realized there's someone specific I want to talk to. And then over time, I realized there's a lot of people I don't want to talk to. So I'm going to be myself, and then those people won't like my content, and then they won't call me. They won't ask me to come to their event. They won't ask me to do their loan. And I can focus more on the person I really want to help because I really am passionate about this person that I want to help. I've really got her back. And I want her to know when she sees my content that she's found her person. So I'm going to be fully myself. And I also, you go through hard shit in life and you realize that, and one time my mom said to me, I was like, but what is everyone going to think? And she's like, is everyone else sleeping on the bathroom floor with you? And I was like, no. She's like, and it doesn't give like it really couldn't matter less what they think. And so then once you start to adopt that mentality, then I'm like, I will show that I'm having a breakdown, or I will show that I'm having a rough week, or that I'm getting burnt out, because I think that it's about the journey and I want to take people with me on it. So I had this blessing of, a really strong support system. Whether June and Neil agree with me or not, they've always got my back. My parents have always had my back. Like I have a strong support system that enables me to be confident about being who I am. And people who will tell me you fucked up, but we have your back. That helps a ton to feel secure in yourself like that. But it was just over time and putting in the reps of creating content that I was like, that ain't me. That's not me. Or I'm getting closer. And then you're like, oh, I'm all in. I'm all in on being me. And it is the most freeing feeling. Like to talk about, to not have to hide things, to be willing to share everything. Do you know how much brain space that frees up for me? That I don't have to cover my tracks or be discreet or do this. And I can actually pay attention to the shit that matters.
That is amazing. So most of us, me included, and people who are listening, are afraid to alienate, like, if I have a political opinion, whatever that may be.
But this is the part that I'm still struggling with.
Well, but you just said it right now. You said it. You said you're like, without saying it, you said there's this abundance of people who are going to like you for you and for your message, where I'm thinking in a scarcity of the people that I'm going to offend. But I don't want to do business with people that are offended by what my views are. And I think that's part of your brand, is not caring.
But I've struggled with politics.
Yeah.
Because I'm very transparent in my brand. I will tell you anything. Mm-hmm. But I haven't talked about politics until last week.
Do you want to just jump into politics right now? And just
No, I think that's a whole nother show.
I'm kidding with you.
But I think I grew up in a politically divided house. We've always talked about politics. It's never been taboo. But I think the reason, I've done a lot of soul searching on this, and I think the reason I haven't gone full force into taking a stance on this stuff is I have a small platform, and I want to use it in a way that doesn't create more noise and stress people out further. I don't want to add to the tension. I want to post things that can be productive. And then the other side of that coin is that I am really angry. Like
At this moment in your life?
At what's happening in our
what's
country.
happening in the world? Okay.
And I don't know that I can offer productive advice when I'm this worked up. So I'm choosing to not add to the noise unless I can do so in a way that would be productive. Because it is too noisy out there right now.
First off, congratulations, because you just became a chief performance officer at your company. And being a chief is a pretty big deal. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And I think what I see with you and your branding and your voice and the fact that you share everything is you're giving voice and courage to women of color who have not felt like they could use that voice. And I don't want to I don't even know if that's a politically correct statement, but I feel like there's a lot of women who grow up in households where their voice is not important. And I think they can watch your video and say like, man, she's really cool. Like if she could do it, why can't I? I'm just curious, what has been the backlash, if any? Because I've never had a hater, but I play it super safe. But on TikTok, there's some haters and they don't give a fuck.
Trolls on TikTok are so mean.
Yeah. And YouTube as well, because I guess there's more of an anonymity there as well as TikTok. What is it like on the other side? Like, are there people that are triggered by you just having an opinion?
I do. So the videos that I get the most hate on actually have nothing to do with professional stuff. It's when I post about my kids, when I post about mom
really?
stuff. And it's always another mom.
Oh, interesting. Really?
It's always a mom who has a Bible verse in their bio that will send you the most hateful, mean things.
What do you think about that? Why do you think that is?
Obviously, I'm triggering something.
Yeah.
And I feel bad because the mental health background in me doesn't want to trigger people, even if they're a nasty troll. But I can't stop because of them. They have to know also that the more they engage with my posts, they're helping me, right? They have to know that when you write 3 pages that ChatGPT wrote for you on my post, that's the algorithm really likes that. You're really helping me out.
Who has the time to run ChatGPT to comment on a post? Just the mechanics of it alone is too much work for me.
So that's what you'll get on Facebook, right? Is something like that. And then there's TikTok. So on Instagram, I'll post and I'll get comments saying I'm a bad mom. But on TikTok, that post will get you should have your uterus cut out.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's the
range
the
of hate.
Yeah. How do you I guess one aspect is you're helping me smile, move on. But do you think that it has a deeper impact on you over time? Does it ever really know?
I'm sure it would. Because I'm a small creator. As a micro creator.
You're not a micro creator.
Well, I don't
What's your following? Share with the audience what your following is.
27,000.
That's 27,000 eyes have an opportunity to see the content you're putting out. That's massive.
But it's the happy space I've learned in the
okay.
creator world, because most of the people when you're at that size are following you because they like you.
Yeah.
When you get to hundreds of thousands of followers, there's a lot of people following you because they hate you.
Because they hate you.
And then I'm sure at that point the hate starts to get to people, and we've seen it with big creators. They change. I see it with big creators where they start plastic surgery. They start changing what they look like. You see them kind of go off the deep end, and it makes sense because there's so much focus and feedback that they're getting on their appearance. But then you also see them where they stop looking at their comments, they stop replying, they stop engaging with their community. It's because of the trolls. The trolls ruin it for everyone.
My goodness. So for somebody who's out there that wants to create, and everybody who's listening wants to build a brand, and it's important for your business, what advice do you give them with this? For you, you've lived it, and your master's degree in psychology. What would you say?
Heal yourself. Be okay with who you are and love yourself before you start posting content. And I know that it's a journey, right? So you can do both. Be sure that you are doing the work to love yourself before you create a community where everybody's going to look at you.
I love that. So we were talking about, this ability that you've had to operate on a very high level. You're, again, chief performance officer, right? And I think if I remember correctly, you're also the number one loan officer in your company.
What a great position to be in.
You're a mom.
You're both the person making the company money and in a role. Like, I think they can't fire me.
They can't. Well, they'd be crazy too. But building a brand it gives you value within your company too, because they're like, we can't have Shivani leave and go represent another company now, right? So they're wise to double down on this. I think any company would be. I mean, my company's the same way. But the thought in terms of how you manage all of it, being a mom especially, and there's mom guilt, there's all these things that have to come along with operating at a high level, and I think that's what we wanted to talk about today. How do you hold it all together?
So that's, I think, the women can make themselves feel really bad looking at other women, but you have no idea what someone just turned away from to face you. So there's times when I've come back to put on an event. Like I went from a mastermind event one time and flew straight to see our dad, who wasn't doing well. And I had to take him to some doctor's appointments that were like, they fucked with my head. And I had to come back and walk straight into my event, my Future is Female event. So I'd been away from my family for a week, which really messes with me when I'm away from my kids. And then I'd been through some like heavy shit. And then I have to turn around and put on this event and be really inspiring to all these women. And I was telling one of my realtor partners in Reno, who's just a saint, and she's like, shit, you never know what someone just turned away from to face you. And I was like, man, that sticks in my head. So when people judge themselves because of what they see someone else doing and how productive they are, you don't know that person might be having a really hard day. You don't know that person might be getting in fights with their spouse about what they're choosing to take on. You don't know that they might have just snapped at their kids and feel really bad about it. You don't know. And so I think I'm trying in the last couple of years to share more of the struggle so that people will see that, like, I'm not a robot who loves going to work on Sundays. I do it because I have to, and sometimes I kind of resent it. Like, I want them to know that. But on the other hand, I think a skill I could give someone is that you, as a therapist, I would never tell you this, but now that I coach top performers, I share because it works for me. You have to learn how to compartmentalize while prioritizing.
So let's jump into that, because I think that's the biggest mind hack that you have to be able to do this. Like, let's talk about this, for instance. Today we're doing a podcast. I could have files blowing up. I could have a loan officer mad, all those things, but it's going to be there when we end this. And I can't put my brain space there because I'm really enjoying doing this. And this is something that, I think is going to help somebody. So how do you compartmentalize it, right? So for you, how do you help somebody who wants to operate at a high level but feels
pulled in so many directions? They're all important.
Yeah, they're just super thin at this point. How do you help them?
So you have to start all the way at the beginning. So you have to treat your brain like an asset, and you have to stop abusing it. We multitask way too much. Like we listen to podcasts while we walk the dog. I take my phone with me to go pee so I can answer Teams messages while I'm sitting there. We return phone calls while we're driving. When we're watching a show, if it gets slow for a second, we check our phone. We never, ever focus. And short form content, which I'm telling you this as a creator of short form content, is making us dumber. Did you listen to Sharon's podcast on this recently? Sharon Srivatsa, that's like a tongue twister, and I'm Indian. He did a podcast about short form content is making us dumber because we're teaching our brains not to focus. And it's what I've been talking about for the last year. It was my keynote that I delivered from every stage in 2025 was we have to rewire our brains to be able to focus with the person we're talking to and our mind not wander. It's like a form of meditation to just be present where you are. If you start treating your brain like that, like you need to have as much clear space there as you can, then you'll stop looking at your phone first thing when you wake up because you're damaging that muscle. You're forcing it to come to alert and be flooded with information. Your nervous system's going to be fried all day. You'll start learning to schedule like deep work times where your brain can focus on something. Because what happens is the more often that you teach your brain to focus, the more ability you have to be inspired about things that would really move the needle in your business. And the more you train your brain and treat it and protect it, then the faster you'll find solutions to very difficult problems that would have taken you an hour to solve before. So, your loan gets blown up and underwriter chews it up. Sometimes it can take us 2 days and then bringing another loan officer in who's not in the weeds on this file to find the solution because our brains are so fucked up. But if we protect our brains and we treat it really well, when you first get that list of conditions, you're more likely to be like, oh, here's the solution. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's how I'm going to restructure this. I started thinking of my brain like that. First, it started with thinking of my time as an asset, but then I realized now I'm just cramming more things into a day. I don't want to be running faster. Then I started realizing what I want is to have more clarity in my brain. So I went from treating my time as an asset to then the next step up was treating my brain and my thinking space and my problem solving. Like if you think of yourself as a crisis manager, then you realize like I've got to make sure this is always clean so that it can always think of the best answer the fastest. Because that's how you really start operating at the next level. And I am coaching so many people now at my company about this, and it's hard to get someone to shift away from wanting to be the busiest and wearing that as a badge of honor. It's really hard to get someone to shift away from I want to be the fastest response to I want to be the best response. I went to an energy healer, a Reiki person, and she said that touching me was like sticking her finger in a light socket. And that hurt me. I felt so shitty about myself for weeks after that because I was like, that is not what I want my energy to be with people. I don't want to feel like electricity all the time because I'm so wound up and going so fast. I don't want people to think of Shivani and be like, ooh, she's the quickest. I want people to think of Shivani and think she's brilliant. If I want people to see me as brilliant, I have to train my mind to be.
So where do you let yourself off the hook in sense of, or how do you manage the overwhelming need that people want a piece of you every day? How do you manage that? Where do you put the boundaries in place? And actually, I think that's a really good segue. What are the boundaries that you put in place to help you better to be brilliant versus just reactionary?
So at some point, you get really good at the compartmentalizing while prioritizing, like in real time. So I'll be about to get on a stage and I'll get bad news about a loan. And I can very quickly be like, is it a primary residence or an investment property? Do they have a moving truck? Will they be homeless? Can I deal with this later? And I will just be like, and then I go. You get faster and faster at going through those. And then you do have to put boundaries in place that are so basic that you don't think they're going to be that life-changing, but they are. The first one is stop sleeping next to your phone. Put it in a different room. Don't look at it for 20 to 30 minutes after you wake up. When I started doing that, it all of a sudden became an hour and a half that I wasn't looking at it. I wasn't looking at it until after I'd had breakfast with my kids. I wasn't getting bad news during the morning chaos. Like, it was life-changing. Then I started blocking apps during certain times so that I can actually do deep work. I use time blocking not to fit the most into the day, but to have the ability to focus on what needs to get done at that time, shift gears, focus on the next thing, shift gears, focus on the next thing. And then eventually you're looking to have as much white space on that calendar as possible with your time blocking. Because you started to optimize when you do things. You now know that you're the best in the morning at these tasks. You also know that you shouldn't do these tasks at a certain time. You start to realize that these tasks are like similar. So if I put them together, I'll get through them faster. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, I've optimized. I'm like using AI on myself, right? I'm becoming like, there's this thing called metacognition.
Okay.
That I learned about in my master's program, where it's, most people have their thoughts and believe them to be facts. Metacognition is thinking about the way you think, noticing that thought and not accepting it as truth. So you have this thought of maybe you're dealing with imposter syndrome and you're about to walk into a big meeting and you're like, fuck, I'm not like ready for this. I'm not worthy of this. I don't know. Notice that thought. Don't accept it as truth and be like, I wonder why I'm thinking that right now. Did I not prepare enough? Or is it just bullshit? And then you can like disregard it. So
wait, sorry, interrupt. When did you start to implement that and how has it helped you? Because I had to be on stage for an event last week and I couldn't articulate it the way that you did, But I used to over prepare for everything. Like I just think about it over and over. And I didn't do that because I was just so busy. And then I went up on stage and I think I did really well because I wasn't overthinking it. I didn't give myself time to get in my head about it. But right before I went on stage, like, who are you to give this talk is what went through my mind. And I just was like, yeah, that's bullshit.
I wish I was there to shake your ass because like you're one of the most amazing people and you have so much value to give people. And all of us are always talking about like, oh, I want to design this to be like how Chris Median is. Or Emily's texting me and being like, I just had the most productive conversation with Chris. Or Lindy's messaging me and saying he's the best. Or me and Arjun are like, yeah, how he does this.
Really? I'm so surprised by this because I don't feel like I've made an impact in those rooms to have what you just said. I'm just trying to be friends with the people that I'm attracted to.
But I think that not letting your brain see that shit, not accepting it as truth.
It's so weird to me, yeah.
Is dumb. Like you just need to stop because it's minimizing the impact. You'd have so much more impact if you leaned into the fact that you're having impact. You got to knock that shit off.
I know, but I mean, we all have it. I mean, I think the audience has it. I think at times
and the
you have
audience
it.
also needs to hear me say, just stop.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not looking for, there's no magic tip on any podcast that anyone's going to give you. You just actively choose to stop thinking like that. When that thought comes, it's like a rubber band on your wrist. Snap it and be like, that's not true. Fuck that. I don't have time for this anymore. I'm not thinking like that anymore.
Yeah.
This is the neuroplasticity of the brain. It can be rewired like a computer. All you have to do is make different choices about how you're going to think. Now you know about metacognition. Now you know that your thoughts aren't real. Just choose no.
Choose.
And like literally visualize, push it out. Push that thought out.
So we were talking before the podcast and I'm curious because as you give me real case scenarios with you, then I can I'll remember that story. And I think that's how people listening will do it as well. But you, before the event or before this, you had mentioned to me that you started walking into a room being like the first woman of color that's ever been at the table in certain meetings. Do you get that walking into the room at first? Does that happen to you?
So I'm obviously a feminist, and I feel really strongly about that I've earned my seat at the table because I started making tables before, right? Like I used to have really bad social anxiety. Okay. And so I couldn't ever go to networking events because I was nervous about like who I was going to talk to and I was going to be weird. So then I just started planning my own events because then I couldn't feel uncomfortable.
Then you're the host.
It's my event.
Yeah.
And that made me get over my own social anxiety. Now I felt like, okay, there's no seat at the table for me at these things, so then I'm going to make my own table.
That's it. Yeah.
You build a brand and you make your own table because your brand will always give you options. And it makes you so that you're kind of invaluable to people. You can kind of put people in a corner with the strength of your brand, right? Where now realtors don't talk to me like that. They don't act like that. They don't treat me like I'm below them because they know odds are the next client that's going to call them has probably already heard of me. And I'm not saying that to be like have an ego. I'm saying like I'm trying to deliver that much value online that the client knows me first. And that's changing dynamics in conversations where I used to not have power. Now, when I think of myself as a minority, whether that be as a woman, as an Indian, as, you know, the first person who's both of those things to get to a C-suite level at my company, I am fully confident that like I have value to bring, that I have earned this, that I wasn't like an affirmative action choice, that I deserve to be in that room. So I'm not scared to correct people when they make a mistake, but I also don't hold it against them. These are people that like I love, that I know have good intentions. I'm going to help them. I'm going to help them see the world a little bit differently.
So someone said to me, and you reminded me of this, I when I was coming into this role, there was a lot of anxiety coming into it because I was really happy with what I was doing. I was getting paid really well. And I knew if I took a step up, it could mean less pay. It doesn't always mean more pay. And so I was very nervous about making the leap. But I also, for my career, I felt it was a really good move. But somebody was like, I had a coach and he was saying, he said to me, why do you want to be it? Like, why do you want to do that? And I said, because I'm tired of this industry. Like one guy gets fired from one company and then another company picks them up. And all of them just push paper. None of them are really making an impact. And I believe I can make an impact. And I believe that I could do it from the streets. I'm not going to do it from an office. I'm going to be in the streets with my people. And I want to do it differently than anybody else. And it's why I sit like next to people, because I want to hear what they're mad about, because then that helps me understand how to make change.
That's so smart.
And he said, well then, and I think I used the word, I want a seat at the table because of those reasons. And he said, no, you want to invite them to yours. And that changed everything for me, because like you said, you just started creating your own, making your own tables. And so I think that's what people need to hear. It's like, if you're trying to build something, then create the community, because there's more people like you in there, you know? So now let's segue to, you built a community. Like, and tell me about it. Like, what is this community and who is it for?
So when I started building the community on Instagram, right? Mm-hmm. I realized I'm talking to someone very specific who really fills my cup.
Who is that?
So it's a woman. She's probably like 30 to 50 years old. She has kids. She may or may not be married, but she's someone with big goals, but feels like they don't have the time to make it all happen, and that life kind of moves too quickly. And she's someone who's struggling with like wanting to be in charge of her life, but life just keeps happening to her. And it's mainly, you know, my segue into her world is money, but then my segue into her world is permission to own your choice, to be yourself authentically and fully. A lot of people say like, oh, I'm not a feminist because I like having a traditional wife role and being a homemaker. I'm like, no, you are a feminist because you believe you should have the choice on what role you take, and that you should reserve the right to change your mind, and that you should feel like every day, not that it's like, oh, I love my life and I'm living my purpose, but that I'm in charge of my life. I have agency over what I do with my life today. I have agency over the choices I make. I can own my authority in this life. And when I encounter someone who's living a completely different version of that than me, but loving it, like fully owning it, then they belong in my community. Like, that's what I want for everyone here, is for all different kinds of women and men who are on board with knowing that when women do better, they do better. That's a space for them. And so then, you know, Instagram is tough because you build this community there, but the algorithm constantly changes and the level of connection is only so shallow, right? Like, you can't go too deep. I've made amazing friends there. My community so far has been so awesome. Amazing things have happened to me because of it. But I wanted to go deeper. So then I started a Circle community where they can start to connect amongst each other.
What is Circle?
So Circle's like an online platform. I guess it counts as social media. I don't know. But it's like, you would think of like what used to be Facebook groups, but like elevated. Mm-hmm. It's not as chaotic. It's cleaner. It's more sophisticated.
Yeah, I'm walking into Circle knowing I'm coming to you, and it's your platform that I can get everything.
Where you won't miss anything that I've shared, but where, more importantly, you can connect with other people you probably have something in common with, because I said something that resonated with both of you. That's why you're here. So you're probably going to find other people that you can learn from, that you can collaborate with, that you can, I mean, inside the community, people have started investments together. People have started mentorships. People are connecting dots that go beyond me. Like, it's like I'm a tree stump, right? Mm-hmm. And then my community grew branches, and the branches grew leaves, and the leaves grew fruit. And it's all mutually beneficial. The whole ecosystem relies on each other, but it came back to me starting it.
And so when you get everyone together in your community, do you do a weekly, or how does that work for you?
I love bringing in, so we'll do these classes monthly where I just bring in a topic that would be relevant to women. Like, it's gone so much far beyond real estate investing. Mm-hmm. I did real estate investing because what I really wanted to do was, I started that community, The Future is Female, which was empowering women as real estate investors, because what I really wanted to do was start a conversation about money, because I felt like people don't talk about money enough. And I know that motherhood got so much better when people started being more open about it and sharing the struggles and what was working and what wasn't, and what resources are available that you could maybe take advantage of too. So I thought, why don't we do this with money? Like, nobody talks about money enough. And I don't think it's something that's taboo. I think we should talk about it. And not in a way to flex on each other, but on a way to say, hey, I made this mistake. You could actually skip steps 1 through 3. Of course, that requires that you have an abundance mindset and know that there's enough to go around for everybody, which I truly believe there is. And so I wanted to start the conversation about money, but then I realized in giving people permission to talk about money, I gave them permission to talk about so many other things. So now we have wellness conversations. I've brought in a perimenopause expert.
Oh, wow.
I brought in a divorce mediator to talk about the way that women in all kinds of negotiations, the conversation wasn't specific to divorce, but this is what she's seen happen with women in divorces. We don't negotiate enough on our behalf. And so we make less money and we come out further behind from a variety of situations because we don't know how to advocate for ourselves. And it was like a super interesting conversation that we had there.
So what started to be a real estate forum, if you will, right? Like became something completely different. And isn't that how it always is? Like you put people into a room with one idea and it just completely grows. And so because these are your people and they all have like the same interest in growth. When you started this community and what it is today, what are you most proud of?
I think what I'm most proud of is how many people have had a perspective shift. Mm-hmm. I love it when people say, I wasn't a feminist until I learned about your version of feminism. And I'm like, dang, that's big time. Mm-hmm. I love any sort of perspective shift because I think anything you want out of life is just a reframe. You know, we all think that we're viewing something or this challenge and that's the only way it could be looked at. But if we shift our perspective, the world is our oyster. Mm-hmm. And I think inside my community, I've shifted a lot of perspectives. And I'm really proud of that.
That's really good. Has it shifted yours as you've like grown with the people in there?
My perspective shifts all the time.
Yeah.
Like there's all the time that I realize, oh, the way I think about this isn't a fact. The way my experience of this is not everybody else's experience. The way I interact with this thing or this person or this concept is not the only way it's being interacted with. And it can feel overwhelming for sure because there's, like I said, it's so noisy out there and there's so much to process at any given time. When you stop overwhelming your brain, it feels less overwhelming and more inspiring.
Mm-hmm. So when you think about what it takes to become the top loan officer at your company or what it takes to build a business the way that you've built it and maintain it on top of it, right? Because it's a constant prospecting. It's a constant, nurturing of your business. For somebody who's listening that is not there, what were the steps that you had to take to get to the level that you were at? Like, what were some of the things that you had to get out of your business? And because you will be the first to tell me and anyone, like, you probably need more help in your business. Or you'll say, you're always really critical of, I need to focus here, I need to focus there. You're very open about it, which I love, because everybody likes to act like they have it all together. But what advice would you give to somebody if they want to operate at a very high level the way that you've been able to?
And they're not there yet.
They're not there yet.
They don't have the business yet.
They don't have the business yet. Like, I've always said, if you're at $10 million, like if you're doing $10 million a year, I can get you to 20. I can't get you to 0 to 10. That's too hard for me. Like, I don't have the patience for that. Right. But I can get you from 10 to 20.
So you want me to help the 0 to 10 right now?
I want you to help the 10 to 20. Like, that's my target market, right? Those are the people that they're already doing it. They have deals. Okay. They don't know how to scale that. How did you scale it when you were doing it? You're
going to ask me how to scale when you know I haven't scaled?
You have scaled. You are the number one loan officer at your company. You have scaled it. So what were some of the things that you had to do to get to there? Like, because see, you're operating in, that there's people that do more, and you're like, I should be doing that. But take a step out and just look at what you've accomplished, and that was all you. How did you do it?
I think that the advice I'd give this person, because I cannot tell them how to structure a team. I think I figured out this new thing that's working really well, but who knows? It might blow up. It's only been a year that I think I've got this down. But I can't tell you how to build a team. I'm not ever going to be the one to tell you to knock on doors, prospect, toughen up. Like, I think that's for old white dudes in Costco suits. Okay. I'm not doing it. What I will tell you this is you need to drink your own Kool-Aid. Like, I believe in real estate investing. I do it myself. I am constantly looking for properties. I have seen home ownership change the course of people's lives. I have no hesitation in telling someone that they need to stop fucking renting and they need to buy this house and they need to understand the way this is going to change their life, because it will change the way they start looking at homes with their realtor. I have no qualms about it. I have no cover your ass like concerns on the advice I'm giving.
No second guessing. You're just all in.
I am very direct. I believe in what I am selling. Like,
do you think most people in that role, because they don't understand something or they don't understand a product, tend to back off from really diving into
because
the belief?
When you're all in on it, it changes how you view doing a hard loan. It changes that your willingness to understand non-QM. It changes whether you're willing to teach yourself that earned equity program. Like, someone would say to me maybe that if you have a 580 credit score, you shouldn't be buying a house. I think you absolutely should. 100%. I know that when you have the stability of this home, it will change the way you interact with money. It will change your money decisions. It will improve your ability to budget. Like, I have zero doubts that everyone deserves to be a homeowner. I consider the role that I play in society as someone who enables homeownership as powerful. I think I'm a really important part of the health equity situation in our country because homeownership and the stability it offers makes America a better place. It makes people better. I want you to get like that about what you are selling. I want you to feel that strongly about it, because then you're not selling people anything anymore. You're giving them a gift. Your content will be different. The way you have conversations with realtors and approach them will be different. When you believe more that client should have that house than the realtor wants their commission check, there's a shift.
I mean, that's the clip right there. I mean, that was badass. I love that. So, okay, I'm going to kind of wrap this up here. So I want to ask you one last question, and then you can ask me anything you want. But the question I had for you was, when you look back at 2025, which was a pivotal year, I think, for many of us, because I think a lot of people figured a lot of things out in 2025. I don't know why, but I felt like most people I talked to, even in our mastermind that we go to, remember like 2024 was kind of heavy. I felt like I would talk to people and they're like just down. And then 2025, it snapped. Something happened. I don't know what it was. It's like we got tired of losing or something. But what do you think happened for you in 2025 that's positioning you for greater things in 2026?
2025 was the hardest year I've ever had. It was rough for me. I mean, I started the year with a lot of anxiety because I knew I had to do a 400-hour internship while working my job. And I was like, shit, realistically, how am I getting this done? I had so much anxiety that it was like clouding my ability to think clearly. And then I had a team member who I had literally trained from day one quit on me with no notice. That like still burns. And then I had to replace my assistant because no shit, she was so smart, so amazing, but our views didn't align. She wasn't on board with the mission. And that was heartbreaking because I'm like, really? Like, you are
How fast did you do it though? When you came to, did you make a fast move on it or was it a slow roll?
So once I realized that there was a few months of like something has shifted here and we're not in alignment anymore. Like, I get the feeling you don't like me. And I would ask her very directly. And it didn't until the day that I was like, well, then this just isn't going to work anymore because you're not performing the way you want to be. And I can tell you're not happy, that she admitted she was not on board with the mission. And it was, in a sense, it was validating because I was like, that's the feeling I've been getting.
You're right.
I was right.
It's not going to work.
My instincts were right. But it was hard to go through all that, to lose all support during a year that I needed it the most. And then I had to do a lot of introspection because I'm like, I'm the common denominator here. Like, these people have left my team. It's my team. It's on me. Like, I got to hold a mirror up here and see what kind of leader I am. So that took a lot of time and brain space to work through. And then I was like, listen, maybe I failed. Like, the industry says you have to build a team this way, and I didn't want to do it that way, and I wanted to empower people more, and I wanted them to make more money, and maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe the age-old top producer, rainmaker hierarchy from the core coaching is the only way you can do it. But then I was like, I'm not going to hire anyone until I really believe it because I'm still fighting this in my head. I'm still carrying the baggage of these other people who've left. I don't want to project that onto someone new. But towards the end of the year, things started clicking for me where I was like, go back to the basics. Go back to step one. When I got into the industry, Neil taught me no one gives a shit about your loan except for you. Don't blame your processor. The funder doesn't care. The underwriter doesn't give a shit. Nobody cares that those people get keys on Friday but you.
And nobody's name is on that deal but yours.
He said, you take your foot off the gas for 1 second, your deal's dead. You're the only one who cares. And I was like, I got to go back to that. Let me go back to that and think about it. And let me also think about what I tell people all the time when people come to me when they're struggling. Even what I would tell people when I was interning as a therapist. You've got to be able to count on yourself. Like, how are you going to navigate this shithole of a world if you don't have your own back? How are you ever going to expect someone else to have your own back if you don't have your own back? And so then I just buckled down and I was like, I'm going to have my own back. I'm going to believe I can get through this year. I'm going to believe it's going to get done. I'm going to believe that I can operate and give everything to everyone. I'm just going to believe it. And then it started happening. And I got to the other side of that year and I was like, okay, again, I have proven I can do really hard things. So now I feel like I'm ready. Like, I feel like a weight lifted. I feel like this year could be, I feel like I'd be okay this year if I wasn't the top producer anymore.
You don't feel like that's you've hit it.
It's not like this year, what I want to do is I want to help as many people get into a home this year because I do believe, like, I'm no bullshit. I think this is going to be one of the last best entry points for a while. It'll be a few years after this before you see the opportunities we're seeing now.
Yeah.
I'm on this, like, no borrower left behind mission. Like, wake the fuck up. Stop telling me any of your bullshit excuses about you're waiting for lower interest rates, you're waiting for lower prices, you're waiting till your finances are better. You were going to miss an opportunity here. And last time this opportunity came, I was too green in my career to talk to people so directly and to be that assertive. And it felt like shit watching them over the next few years get priced out of the market. So there's things I'm really excited about this year that I think, having gotten 2025 behind me, I like have the capacity.
So did you regroup with did you get the right people? Do you feel like you have the right people?
I have a good assistant now.
What was your framework for, I know it said it would be the last, but I'm curious, what was your framework for hiring this time around?
Are you on board with the mission?
Okay. So you took what you didn't ask the first time to make sure you learned. Because when dealing with like loan officers, and we're getting to that point where they're now adding to their team again, because like everybody got rid of their assistants and now we're like back in rebuild mode. People tend to find what's available, not what's right for the team.
And you think you need someone who has experience in the business. You think you need someone who's smart. You need someone who is on board with your mission. Because then they'll fight the fight with you.
That's it. It's a good point. I love that. I really appreciate you doing this. I mean,
you
seriously.
said I could ask you something.
Oh, what do you want to ask me?
Before you try to close this out.
Okay, go. Shit.
Okay, so now that you just admitted you find yourself dealing with imposter syndrome less, the moments of doubts are less because you're busier. You're taking over the world. What's next for you this year? What are you working towards? Like, what's the vision?
So, okay, I'll share this with you, and I don't know why, but whenever you say something, I get like slightly emotional. So I don't know why, but it's I don't know what's there.
I think it's because you know I believe in you.
Maybe. Thank you. All right. So coming into this role, or coming into like coming out of 2021, I was the top branch, the most profitable for the company. I was like really at the peak of my career, and I noticed that there was this platform, this financial model that somebody was on that I wasn't aware of, and I started asking questions. I started educating myself on it, and when I realized that I was leaving millions of dollars on the table, I was pissed because my boss at the time didn't want me to know about it. And so when I got into the role, what I understood to be the way we get paid was vastly different. Like, it was like, I understand the house is going to win, and I expect the house to win because they provide us an amazing platform, but I didn't realize that there were people that just because they asked to be on a model would get like significantly more money than me. And then that started to bother me. Like at a human level, like I don't know if I could stay at this company. But as I did more digging, it wasn't the company, it was an individual that was holding me back. So I started to think about it. And Shivani, when I did the numbers, so I got to the point that they offered me, like, here's a model. And you would make, I think at the time it was like you'll make $5 million on this deal. I wasn't anywhere near $5 million. That's what I was leaving on the table, like from, what I wasn't making. And I didn't take it because I didn't think I was worthy of it. Isn't that a weird thing? Like, I was like, no, just give me a little bit of a raise and I think we'll all be okay, right? I didn't take it. I was like, I could not fathom that I had earned $5 million, even though I'm printing money for the company. So I think what I decided this year, once I understood it, and I understood it in a way that I wish somebody had sat me down, because there's a purposeful confusion in this model that every company is operating under. They don't want you to know. And so I wanted to take it on myself to go and educate people around it, like just pure education. And then through that, maybe I could build some trust. And then through that, maybe we could work together. But it's really coming from a place of, I think people need to realize that they're worthy of the money that they potentially can make. And, but I bitched and complained. And by the time I got to it, I turned it down because I was like, I couldn't go from whatever I was making to that. It was just like, that's
conceptualize it.
I couldn't, I was like, I'm not worthy of that. Nobody in my family's ever done that. Like, it was just a really weird thing. So this year, you asked me, like, what I'm like literally going to go every other week into a webinar teaching people how to do it, or what it means. And through that, maybe build some trust, and through that help partner with people that I didn't know before. And so that's the goal. Like, that's everything I'm leaning in on this year, is just education around that, because I think people don't realize how much money they're leaving on the table. And when I teach this industry what it is, I think more people that are diverse, more people that are making companies money, are going to start to be able to build wealth in a way that they didn't before. And I think it'll open up a lot of doors for all of us. So that's what I'm doing.
Huge.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's going to make waves in our industry that should have been a long time coming.
I know. And even as you say that, I'm like, how can I do that? Like, I can. Yeah, I believe I can. Yeah.
I'm going to make sure you do. I'm going to help you any way I can.
I love this.
This is big time.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you doing this. This was so good. And you coming in face to face, I love it. And you know what? I think everything happens for a reason. And you were talking about being present. I don't think that, like, I could ever have conversations like this without, like, when was the last time you had this long of a conversation without looking at your phone?
I know. It's
right?
wild.
So this is why I love these opportunities, and especially with you, because it gives me an opportunity to just really sit down and have a conversation with you. So thank you.